G here. Today we're going to be working on my new pre-fall pattern 8174. We're going to start with view A and B, the dress. Now if you're new to sewing or you just need a little refresher course, make sure and watch the Sewing Basics video linked in the description box below. I cover all sorts of things like picking your pattern size, cutting out your tissue paper, reading all the instructions that are printed on your actual pattern, how to cut your fabric, how to read grain lines, and a whole lot of other useful information. Watch that video, then come back and sew along with me. Okay, now we're going to work on view B, our dress. Let's go over the pattern pieces you needed to have cut out. You're going to cut out one of pattern piece number 2. You're going to cut one of pattern piece number 1 on the fold. You're going to cut out one of pattern piece number 3, which is the back of our dress, also on the fold. You're going to cut 2 of pattern piece number 4, which is our sleeve. And you're going to cut out 1 of number 5, which is our neckband. Okay, we're going to start by first pressing our pocket. So this is the pocket that goes in front of our dress. And so I've already made my seam allowance markings so that I know exactly where to turn over. And so the way I do that is I just take my ruler, I mark out the 5/8 of an inch, and then just using my chalk roller, I go ahead and mark it off. And that way I know exactly where to turn. So we're going to start by pressing under our curved edges. So I'm just going to turn until I see my chalk line, and I'm going to press. And in that curve, I'm just going to make 2 little snips. And then I'm going to turn under again to meet the crease, and I'm going to press. You're going to do it to the other side, and then we're going to turn this over and we're going to stitch. And you're going to do the other side the same way. Okay, once you've pressed your curved edges and we've sewn them together, you're going to continue folding and pressing the top, sides, and bottom. Now go ahead and grab your front. Okay, so here's the front of our dress. And you should have transferred over the markings that were on your tissue paper, on your pattern. And we're going to place our pocket right along those lines, and we're going to pin. Now that you have it pinned in place, we're going to sew along the edge on both the sides, the top, and the bottom. Once your pocket is attached, go ahead and set this to the side and grab your sleeves. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this so that we can create our dart. So you should have a little dot that you marked for your dart, and we're going to stitch from the top down to that dot. So I'm just going to use 1 pin. Hold this in place, and we're going to stitch down our dart on both of our sleeves. Sew completely off and then tie your threads together into a knot. You're going to do the other dart the same way. Now we're going to press our dart, so go ahead and just give it a good press. Now we're going to attach our sleeves to the front and back of our dress. Okay, I have the back of my dress with right sides facing up towards me, and I'm going to first pin one sleeve, making sure that I'm matching right sides facing and my notches. So the back has 2 notches, so I want to make sure that the back of my sleeve that I'm pinning has 2 notches, and I'm going to pin there first. Now I'm going to pin the other sleeve to the back the same way, right sides facing, matching double notches. Now we're going to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance. Stitch the other sleeve the same way. Okay, once we have the back of our sleeves pinned to the back of our dress, we're going to do the same thing with the front of our dress. So I'm going to take the front of my dress, and with right sides facing, I'm going to align my single notch and pin. You're going to pin both the same way, and then you're going to stitch using 5/8 of an inch seam allowance the same way that you just did for the back of our sleeve. Okay, once we have our sleeves sewn on, we're going to go ahead and pin our side seam. And we're going to sew on one continuous seam. So we're going to pin all the way up our side seam, and then we're going to pin our sleeve together, making sure to leave openings for our thumb. And then we're going to, like I said, sew in one continuous seam. So I'm going to start by matching my notches along my side seam, and I'm going to pin there first. Okay, and then when we get to the sleeve, I want you to pin your underarm seam. And you should have had little dots. I made notches so it's more visible for me. So I'm going to go ahead and pin along my sleeve. And I'm going to pin here. And I'm going to pin again at every dot or notch, depending which you did, so I know exactly where to start and stop sewing. Now we're going to sew all the way down our side seam. We're going to sew through our sleeve, and then we're going to make sure that we stitch and back stitch here, and then we're going to leave this open, and then we're going to move down here, and we're going to back stitch and stitch to the next pin, and then we're going to back stitch. And then we're going to skip this area here and move down here and back stitch until we reach the end, and then back stitch, of course, at the end. We're going to sew both the same exact way. Okay, I'm approaching my first pin, so I'm going to stop there and back stitch. And then I'm going to skip ahead to my other notch or dot, whichever you marked, and I'm going to back stitch. And I'm going to back stitch. You're going to sew your other side seam and sleeve the same way. Okay, once you're done, I want you to take your sleeve and I want you to press your seams open. And then we're going to fold this up. And as you can see, we have our hole for our thumb. So I'm going to pin here first. And then I'm going to make sure that it's matching up at the top. And I'm going to pin there. And now using your narrow zigzag stitch or a stretch stitch, we're going to stitch all the way around. I went ahead and slipped my sleeve through my free arm, and I'm going to stitch close to the edge, about 1/4 inch away from this cut edge. Once you're done, you can go ahead and slip stitch both of these together to secure that opening. You're going to do your other sleeve the same way. Okay, now we're going to work on our neckband. As you can see, I've already stitched my neckband together, so I folded it right sides facing, making sure that I pinned at my notches. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to fold this in half and press. Okay, we're going to go ahead and pin our neckband. So I want you to place your neckband right sides facing, and I want you to pin first at the back where you have 2 notches. So pin there. And then you should have had a little dot that you marked. And I'm going to go ahead and pin that to where my dart is on my sleeve. And then the other side, the same thing. And then I'm going to go ahead and pin at the center front. Now we're going to sew all the way around our neckband using 3/8 of an inch seam allowance. Now you're going to go ahead and press your neckband. Okay, once you're done pressing your neckband, the only thing left to do is the hem of our dress. And so we're going to turn under. Let me turn this wrong side out. So we're going to turn up our hem allowance, which is 1.25 inches. I'm going to measure it out and then press all the way around. Now using a narrow zigzag stitch or a stretch stitch on your machine, we're going to stitch our hem in place all the way around. Once you're done sewing your hem, go ahead and give it one final press and you are all done. I hope you've enjoyed this sew along. Until next time, peace.